The FX2 here got a lot of hate when it was first announced, and now it's out. More and more people are picking it up, and surprise, surprise, they actually like it. They realize they enjoy using it. This mirrors exactly what happened with the Sony FX3 launch. After the a7S III came out, the FX3 came out, people were like, why does this exist? What's the point? This is just a reimagined a7 IV with a few other things as well. I bought one myself. Been using it for a few weeks now, quite substantially, and I have some thoughts. I can't confidently say what Sony's game plan actually is, but what it appears like from the outside is they're not making a one-size-fits-all camera, they're making multiple cameras to attack multiple different categories. And this is essentially an a7 IV that is more predominantly designed for video, but still has the stills aspect in there as well. And the EVF is a bonus for both photo and video shooters, and we'll get into that in a bit. But what I think you need to understand is not every new camera that comes out is going to be the latest and greatest and have the best tech in it. You really need to look at, does this camera offer a feature set that I need, that I currently don't get? And if so, that is why you purchase it. If you love the Sony a7 IV, you've been looking at that camera for a while, and you want something that maybe leans more into video, then you'll probably love the FX2. Now, I've had this for a few weeks and used it quite substantially. I've forced myself to use this for pretty much everything I can. And when you do that, you start to see good things, bad things, things that have changed that you're not used to, and that's what we're covering in this video. We'll get a little bit deep on certain things like buttons and stuff, but if you like learning about that and hearing about how this works in the real world, that's what this video is about. Now, I own an FX2 as well. It's actually out for repair right now. The 1/4" 20 became unthreaded on the bottom, so that's being repaired. About $170 Canadian to replace that, in case you're wondering. Yes, I know you can do it yourself, but I didn't want to. Send it to Pro Support, they're taking care of it. FX2, FX3, they're not the same camera, but they share a very similar design, but there's some tweaks that have been made to the FX2 that kind of elevate that a little bit. It has a very much blacked out design, which I'm a big fan of with the silver finish here. So for example, the hot shoe right here, the multi-interface shoe, the parts where you attach a strap, I can't show you because the cage is on here, but even the 1/4" 20 threaded points there, they're all blacked out as well. It's a little touch, but it really looks much nicer than the silver finish on the FX3. The grip has been redesigned and it feels much nicer, a little bit deeper than the FX3, and it feels like you have a more substantial camera in your hand when you're holding it like this. The grip is something that really is very unique, and you either like it or you don't like it, and I am a big fan of the deeper grip on this. It feels much nicer when you're hand holding the camera. You don't really feel like you need to strap so much, if that makes sense. This movie still kind of slider switch there with the menu button in the middle is a very nice addition and replaces the mode dial. And it's really quick to go between photos and video. I'll show you right here. Super fast to go between both of those, which really does make it a very fast performing hybrid camera. But this is a much better implementation of swapping between modes instead of going mode, pushing down twice, hitting OK, and then you're in the stills mode, and then to go back to video, you got to do the same thing. I think I actually provided that feedback to Sony multiple times in a few videos, so I'm glad to see that that has been added on there, and it's a really welcome feature. I do have to say I actually quite miss the mounting point on the left side of the camera here. There's a couple of times I've wanted to mount things just to get certain rigs or shots when I'm filming my phone at the same time. Maybe that's a bit more niche, but I miss the point on the side there, which you no longer have. It's been replaced by the HDMI, which is now up top there. I'm just going to take the cage off because I keep talking about things that are hidden by the cage. Speaking of cages, there's not a lot that's out right now for the FX2. I've been using the Falcon one, which is this one just here, minus the left-sided plate. So if you are looking for a cage for your FX2, this is the one I'd recommend right now. It does work with the top plate on there as well, which is a little bit off from the front of the camera, which allows you to move the EVF up and down. I've got a few other cages for the FX3 and they don't fit this as well. So if you're looking for a cage right now until something else comes out, the Falcon one minus the left side works great. On the bottom you have 2 1/4" 20 threads that you can now mount a plate to. This is really important because no matter how tight you attach a plate to this, over time it is going to become loose. just naturally happens. And it always occurs when you put on a tripod, you're taking a shot that you need perfectly lined up, and then it slightly moves, and it's very frustrating. When you have two on here, it doesn't matter if one of them becomes loose because the other one is holding it on there. And even if both of them come a little bit loose, the camera actually isn't going to be moving or twisting because it's being held in place by two. So having two on there is a really nice welcome addition, and every single camera should have that. Quick little break. I do appreciate you watching these videos. If you aren't subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and do so. It's free. There's no contract involved. You can just click that button down below. And another way you can support me is by watching the sponsor of today's videos, a little ad break that we're going to do right now, which is from Motion Array. If you've been following the channel for a while, you know I'm in this stylized phase right now, loving anamorphic lenses and widescreen things, and my Instagram's starting to take on that, and it's bleeding into my thumbnails. If you like that kind of thing, you want to do it in your videos, using Motion Array is one way you can do it. These right here on Motion Array's website are motion graphics. Now the nice thing with these is they're compatible with all software. It doesn't matter what you use. Now there is a bunch that you can pick from here. You can scroll for days, or you can preview one by just hovering above each little individual thumbnail there. You can of course filter them on the side here too. Let's say I wanted to do some film grain. So film grain, so we've got a 16mm film grain pack, film overlays, dream film transitions. You see a lot of stuff like this on Instagram at the moment. Compatible with all software. I'm going to download it. We're using Final Cut today, and this clip right here shot with the Blazar 35mm autofocus. This is actually a LUT that I downloaded from Motion Array as well. It's this LUT pack I was trying out. Let's unzip this pack. So now you can preview what these look like. Let's pick one that will work as a good transition, maybe with some of those light leaks there. Drag that one in and put it between these two clips right here. Obviously, if you just leave it like that, you can't see anything there, but if you go blend mode, overlay, you got a little transition there that is just compatible with any software, really quick and easy to use. Because there's so many, you can just play about with them. If you want to give it a go, there's a link down below to try those out. This EVF right here is something I've really grown to love shooting for stills as well as video. It sticks out enough, it's very comfortable to use with your eye. It gives you this extra point of contact there. So if you want to do handheld stuff there, very, very useful. The extra point of contact means if you're not using stabilization, it really helps you. It's 3 points, right? 1, 2, 3. Before you were just having 2 there, which you could do fine, but when you have that third one, it just gives you that extra layer of stabilization to go with the active and the dynamic active stabilization that's in the FX2. This also hugely helps in really bright situations. Now the FX3 screen, I never really could say that I had an issue with using it in outdoor sunny environments, so I'd put it to its brightest setting and you would see things. Occasionally, maybe you'd have a little bit of reflection on there and you just can't see with the bright sunlight. With this, because it's so much easier to see, I find myself using it a lot more than just looking at the back of the screen. Without even realizing, I'm just doing this a lot. I'm also using it from the hip like this because it's a really nice, enjoyable experience to do so. And that's actually a really nice way to shoot photos as well. You see people shooting photos like this with, what is it, with the Mamiya film camera. And you can do the same with this. You don't even have to have your eye, like right now, you won't be able to see here, but just from like this, I can see in the screen there. So it's really nice for composing for stills and for video. And I can see this becoming more of a thing on Sony cameras in the future. I would love to see a way to make it removable, because I will say that it does make it a bit more challenging to pack in your bag. You have to reconfigure your bag in certain ways, or you end up packing it on its side like this. Before I would pack everything just down. Now I have to pack it kind of on its side like this in a deep bag. It's fine, but it just makes it a little bit more complicated because it does stick out quite a bit there from the body. Like you get an extra 50% on top of the body width there. So it's something to be aware of. I tried this in a satchel a few times actually, and it's taking up a lot more space in the satchel, and you lose like that much space in a little tiny bag, which in a small bag is a lot of space to lose. So if you like to use a satchel, you might not like this unless this is the only camera you're taking in there. Very niche, but it's good to know. Need some accessories to show you this one. So it's worth pointing out that depending on what you attach to the top here, it might get in the way of the EVF. So this is one of the Sony mics. I don't remember the name of it. It's got a very long name, but even with the Falcam plate on there, that's why I like this Falcam plate, you can attach this on here. It does actually interfere and you're not able to put it all the way. That's as far as it will go there. if I take this off, you'll see, actually this is a lot tighter as well. I've noticed this. To get mics off, it's real tight in there. You see that's how high it can go. So you only get to about there with the Sony mic. But yeah, this is real tight to put accessories on and off, which is interesting. A lot more than any of my other Sony cameras. If you like to use the DJI mic adapter, so you don't need to use a 3.5mm cable, it's going to interfere with it. You can see right there. And if you like to use the DJI Mic Mini or Mic 3 adapter, again, the same thing. It is going to interfere there, so you're not able to get the EVF up all the way. That's so tight to get on and off. Something else of note with the EVF, it's very accurate to what the screen looks like. I say this because my only other Sony camera that has an EVF and a screen is the a7R5, which we're shooting with right now, and the colors do not match. And I know you can change them around, you can change the warmth to get them similar, but they're very different. The EVF I find very, very warm, leaning warm, and the screen just feels a bit more natural, almost to the point where it felt like something was wrong, and I did send mine in, and it came back, and they said, no, it passes all calibration tests, and it's fine. But to my eye, it looks very different. With this, they look exactly the same, and that's really nice, because if you're shooting by eye, checking for white balance or whatever, having it match the screen just makes things a little bit easier. The mic and headphone placement there got a lot of flack when it first came out, people saying it's exposed. I've grown to really like this. Not having to open a flap there to plug something in is very, very convenient. That said, the first time I actually used this, in my head, the closest one should be the microphone, and it's not, it's the headphone port. Completely user error. So I shot a reel and had it plugged in to the wrong port. That said, the audio was actually completely usable once I added a little bit of noise cancellation, because there is two mics on here. You have 1, 2, and on the FX3 you only had the 1. So the audio is definitely better when you're picking up scratch audio at this, and it was usable even from like 6 feet away, so that's something to point out as well. Now I know this isn't new to Sony, it's been out I think on the a6700 first, but I think with full frame, maybe I'm wrong, this is the first video focus camera that has it. You have, let's get this down a bit so you can see, you have vertical menus there, so when you rotate the camera, all the menus reflect that. And I mean, you probably follow me on Instagram if you're here. I shoot a ton of vertical content, and that's just really convenient to have on there. Makes changing settings really easy, kind of, because Sony has actually applied a good logic to this, which does make sense. And that is, when you rotate here, my muscle memory is so ingrained to do things based off of the location of this D-pad. And when you rotate, the way that the D-pad performs reflects now the vertical shooting. So what I mean by that is if I'm going left in horizontal, when I go here, my mind wants to push this to go left, but now this is up. You see what I'm saying? Like, it makes sense, but you have to retrain your muscle memory to do it the right way. Now, you don't necessarily have to use the D-pad there. You do have the little nub on the top here, whatever they want to call this. It's like what they have on the PlayStation, but like it's more grippy. This you can use for selecting menus, and it performs the same way. If you turn this vertically, this will change to work vertically as well, and then it goes back to horizontal. So it's the same thing as the D-pad. This, though, if you're using it with stills, because this is a stills camera as well, it's partly why we have that EVF there, this is really not enjoyable to shoot if you use a focus point that you like to move around. It feels off. I would like a little joystick on the back here. It is what it is. It's personal preference probably, but yeah, if you're shooting with a focus point, which again is quite niche, not everyone will, this feels very strange and foreign to use. Maybe I'll get more used to it over time, but compared to the joystick on the back of my a7R5 when shooting with a focus point, it feels very different. Autofocus performance is obviously fantastic. It's Sony autofocus, arguably, no, it's not arguably, it is the best that is out there. And coming from the FX3, which was never bad, but that autofocus is technically a 4-year-old system, 4 or 5-year-old system. This uses all the AI stuff that's in the a7R5. And the more I use this, the more I realize The FX3 isn't bad, but this is leaps and bounds ahead, especially when people are further away, especially when people turn their back and there's no face. It just detects where they are using AI, and it's very, very good and very accurate. Again, I don't want to say the FX3 is bad. It's not. It's still very usable. I was using it for video up until like 3-4 weeks ago, but when you use this and then you go back to the FX3, you do see that disparity. Let's talk rolling shutter, because that was a big complaint with this. It's a video focused camera that's using the same tech that's in the A7 IV, which is a camera that has a lot of issues with rolling shutter. If rolling shutter is going to be of concern to you, you probably don't want to get this camera. The reason I bought this camera is for general content creation, for a lot of vertical shooting. If I'm going to be doing something that's very fast paced, moving around a lot, and it's going to be obvious that there's rolling shutter issues, I'll go with the FX3. That's what I'll just end up doing. I'm not selling that camera, I'm going to have both. Also the crop. Yes, there's a crop in 4K 60. It's a 1.5 times crop. Should we still have that in 2025? Probably not, but we do. And again, if that's going to be of a concern to you, don't buy this camera. You don't have to buy it. It's going to put some people off, but for me, it's not a deal breaker. I'm not buying this camera to shoot a ton of 4K 60. What I will say is the video out of this is much nicer, as long as it's not fast moving, where rolling shutter is going to be a problem, than the FX3. It's an oversampled image, and it has a lot more depth to it. When you put it in the editor and you start playing about with it, it's very evident. I said this before with the A7R5. I actually prefer the video out of the A7R5 than I do out of my FX3. Shooting a lot of weddings, I would tend to use this camera more than my FX3 for handheld because of the IBIS, but also I just like the image out of it. I don't know what that is. I don't know if you heard that, but it was interesting. One of the reasons I wanted to buy this is because I miss having the crop ability when shooting in 4K 24 frames per second with the FX3. If I'm out shooting, I don't want to bring another lens with me. I only want to bring the one lens. It gives me more reach. It's very handy. You can go back to my videos from years ago and you'll see I preach about how often I use the crop mode. I missed it in the FX3 and I'm using this and now realizing how much I actually missed using that. Your lenses just have this extra ability out of them, which is very convenient for packing less gear. Now, I know that that's not going to be for everyone. I'm not trying to justify it in any way, but again, if the feature set of this matches what you're looking for, then this will be great. If you need it to not crop in 60, then this won't be great for you. It's going to become a problem if you're shooting things that are really wide. One thing that springs to mind is real estate. Let's say your widest lens is a 16mm. You need to shoot 4K 60. You don't have anything wider than 16. You can't counter for that. But if you're shooting at 50 in 60 frames per second, you could use a 35 and it's going to get you very similar. So there's ways around it unless you specifically need to shoot wide. Not trying to justify it, just telling you what you can do. Something that frustrated me with this, the first time I turned it on and I checked, because I didn't see it in any reviews, is D-Squeeze. The FX3 just came out with a firmware update that added D-Squeeze for 1.5 anamorphic lenses, and I assumed this would have it in it. I assumed wrong. This has 1.3 and 2, which is what the FX3 had prior to its update. So a little disappointed. Am I gonna have to wait forever to get that on here? I don't know, we'll see. Luckily right now I'm mostly using 1.3x anamorphic lenses like the Apex we're shooting this video with and the Mantis lenses. But yeah, a little frustrating to see that in there. Opengate doesn't have Opengate. There's a lot of cameras that have come out recently that do have Opengate. The S1 II, the newly announced C50, the Nikon ZR didn't have it, but maybe we'll see that in the future. But Opengate, should that be a thing on this camera? It should. However, this is also basically a rehoused with a lot more added stuff A7 IV, and the A7 IV did not have Opengate. It's unlikely Sony is going to add Opengate to any of these cameras that we currently have anytime soon. There's a lot of information out there suggesting why. The biggest thing, the biggest one at the top of the list seems to be is to do with codecs. And the current codecs that Sony uses don't support Opengate, and they need to completely rewrite that, which is a huge thing to do. And this does make sense because when you look at the cameras, the Sony cameras that do shoot Opengate, like the Burano, it's not shooting in that same codec, it's shooting in a different codec. So will we get Opengate in what we have right now, FX3, FX2, A7 IV, A7R5? I doubt it. Don't think it's ever going to happen. I think it'll be in future releases, hopefully, but who knows? That codec probably has to change if that's the reason before we're going to get that. Personal view for me, I don't need it. And some people are going to say, he's just trying to justify it. I'm not justifying it. I firmly believe that if you're shooting vertically, you should compose vertically. If you're shooting horizontally, you should compose horizontally. I do think that when you shoot with Opengate, you are sacrificing perfect composition for the ability to shoot both vertically and horizontally. You're not getting the best of both. And that's just a caveat. That's a workaround that you have to deal with. But I also understand there are people out there, especially if you shoot a lot of client work, that need to get both at the same time. So if that's you and you need Opengate, don't invest in Sony. If you are with Sony already, it might be time to move. Maybe look at Lumix. The S1 II is fantastic. I've got a video coming on that soon. Subscribe if you want to see that from my perspective as a Sony shooter. But yeah, that's my take on Opengate. Not trying to justify it anyway. I would love Sony to have it. I don't need it right now. I don't think it's the be-all, end-all. I don't think it solves all the problems in the world. It would be nice to have, but it's not essential for my workflow. That's what I've got written down on my notes here. So take that with a grain of salt. You might have seen that I've been using this little setup. I slapped this lens on here just because I needed something to test real quick, and I immediately loved how small it was. Now I've got a step-up ring on here, just one step-up ring, so we're going from 49mm on the front of this 40mm f2.5, 49 to 82, so I can use my Polar Pro NDs. But I really love the compact ability of this, and I've been really enjoying 40mm. I like the 43mm look from the Leica Q43, which you can watch the video on up here. But yeah, really enjoying this little setup with just the one step-up ring on there so it doesn't look obnoxious, but tiny little compact video setup. That's why I've been shooting a whole bunch of stuff with, and a lot of things you've been seeing in this video was shot with this exact setup. I almost sold this lens, and now it's become one of my immediate favorite lenses to use, and that's just from slapping it on a different body. And a lot of shooting photos like this and video like this really changes the way that you shoot when you play about with new gear, and I don't know, it's breathed new life into this lens for me. Final thoughts. The FX2 is not for everyone. Definitely not for everyone. If you look at this and see a lot of problems, a lot of issues that you're going to have to work around, don't pick up this camera. Maybe look at a different option that's out there. If you look at things that this has and it screams to you, you love the idea of the EVF on here, having a true hybrid camera. You can deal with the rolling shutter, no Opengate, you can deal with the crop. Get the FX2. You'll really like it. You'll really enjoy shooting with it. It's the first Sony camera in a long time that I've enjoyed shooting with for fun, if that makes sense. I see Sony cameras as tools. I typically shoot stills with my Leica Q343. I enjoy shooting with that. Same with the Nikon ZF. But I've really enjoyed shooting with it so far, and you might as well. We'll leave it at that. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.